I've got 6 things on the list to talk about,
Oh,
but most of them are going to be kind of brief. Seems like the main thing is Pratt-Read.
yes. Yeah, it seems like we are continually the bearers of bad news.
Right.
But we got an email today that said that Pratt-Read is closing. So, owned by Ideal, have been in business since 1897.
1798.
1798.
1798 is when Pratt-Read started.
Okay. Yeah, like one of the oldest American companies around.
Yeah.
And most known for making screwdrivers, but apparently they made piano parts originally, which I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't either.
We missed out on a piano part closeout. We could have bought ivory piano keys.
Right. It would have been good.
But anyway, another sad chapter in terms of, Pratt-Read was, I feel like at one time at least, a large player in the private labeling of American-made screwdrivers.
A major player.
Yeah. There are others, which we have learned today. So it's not like this is the end of U.S. screwdriver manufacturing. There are other people out there that are making the blades. And so what it kind of comes down to is that there's handle manufacturers and then there's screwdriver blade manufacturers. And, or maybe screwdriver blade manufacturer.
Right.
And they just put them on different handles.
Right.
And we're trying as best as we can to come up with, a nicer US made screwdriver. Because right now they don't, it's hard to see where they're going to come.
So you were on the phone today with all kinds of manufacturing saying, hey, there's a void in the market,
Right.
Step up to it.
Yeah, so it's like, who's going to fill it? Is someone going to fill it? But we're working on trying to make that happen.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Well, just Wera and Mayhew, you might talk about those.
Oh yeah. Well, you're the one that got, so Wera, they're a German manufacturer, but a lot of their stuff's made in the Czech Republic.
Right.
But just looks
It's
very
beautiful. Yeah, wonderful stuff.
So we started to buy a very small selection of Wera.
Which we're going to grow into.
Right.
Like we did with Nipex.
Yes. Mayhew makes some interesting, they make pry bars, they make punches and chisels and things like that. Lots of like hooks and picks and
good quality, excellent quality stuff.
They make, and the thing I think we're gonna do best with them is they make these like spring. It's basically a spring with 2 ends on it, and you can pull it back and snap it.
Yeah.
And it's either a nail set or a center punch or a chisel. But carpenters and all sorts of people seem to really love those.
Yeah. And part of it is Mayhew is one of those companies that's handled the pandemic reasonably well. So they're shipping merchandise. And our problem is one reason we went to them is because we can get merchandise from them.
Right. All right, what else you got?
Well, we got in all those Nipex pliers, whatever you call them.
Oh yeah, so the twin grip plier. Nipex came out with this thing. It's, I guess, for pulling like damaged screws and we've got it in twice. Every time we've got them in, we've sold them out in a day, no matter how many we've got in. And so this time, I think we got like 90 of them.
96.
So we'll see how long they last. But they are in stock again. I mean, I think what happened with them is that, Nipex is the largest plier manufacturer in the world, I think.
That's what I've heard.
And in America, it's kind of a niche plier. And so I don't think Knipex understood the demand, the American demand, but it's been high.
Yeah, we got 48 of them in a weekend they were gone.
Yeah.
So, and then the SK, your communication from SK. That's probably something we should talk about.
You mean with the closeout stuff? Or?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to call it a closeout, but it's somewhat of a deal. SK, they have a ton of obsolete items. They're apparently going to ship us some.
They said they would.
They said they would, and we will see if that happens.
Right. And then and if it does, then we'll have a bunch of SK products that have been eliminated that are good. They're good, good standard, mostly sets. And we'll see what they send us, but we'll be able to make promotions for people on the SK, the American-made SK stuff. And who knows what's going to happen with SK?
Yeah,
we haven't gotten a major shipment from them in many months, so who knows what to think.
Maybe we should talk about Leonard.
Yeah, that's how I thought we'd finish.
Okay. So Leonard is in the Epstein's Customer Hall of Fame, which I resurrected because I found all the images from a long time ago on our website. We had our Customer Hall of Fame.
And you might say, what is the Epstein's Customer Hall of Fame?
Well, tell me.
Oh, it just, years ago, George started taking pictures of customers who have been coming in here all their lives. And as their lives were kind of coming to an end, he started taking their pictures.
Well, that's not...
Well,
not everyone. I mean, we...
long time...
It's the people that we liked, too.
Yeah.
It isn't just people that come in forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some people who we have a personal relationship with.
Yeah.
Who have been around, and so Leonard is someone who, he's been coming in. I think since the mid to late mid 70s.
Yeah, 50 years.
Yeah. And he was a union carpenter originally, and he had a company that built houses. And the story he told was that he was working on a job just down the street. Actually, it's the building that is right in front of us, the one,
Sure.
the glass building. And when they were building that thing, they told him he didn't have a chalk box, or his chalk box broke or something. They told him to go up the street, and he got his chalk box here and kind of took a look around and was like, I think I'm gonna come back to this place.
And come back he did.
Yes, and he's been bothering us ever since.
Right.
So I went to Leonard's shop.
In his garage.
Yeah, his garage. Is that 2 days? Yesterday.
Yeah.
It was yesterday. And, he has an obsession with old engines, and finds them, rebuilds them. And so I went down, saw his shop, talked to him with Matt and Jane, and it was a great time. Fed us, gave us lunch, fried chicken.
Yeah, and he's got, it's a unique collection. These are really old engines.
Really old engines.
And he's really knowledgeable about them.
Yeah, he just knows everything about them. So I think we're going to try to do more of that if we can, get other customers that want to buy us lunch and let us wander around their shop during the day. Sam seems to be the next.
Sam should be the next.
Yes. So anyway, hopefully at the end of this, I will have spliced in a video of that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
This will be a long one, too.
I think it'll be about 10 or 15 minutes of Leonard.
Okay.
Just talking about his old engines.
Yeah, he's in a museum.
Yeah. It really, the interesting thing to me is I think at one point in the video, Jane asks like, what are these for? Or like, why are you doing, kind of like, why are you putting so much effort into this? And I think I started thinking about that, because it's not obvious why someone would spend so much time on what someone would think is kind of an antiquated, useless thing. It's like the original purpose for this thing no longer exists. So why spend time with it? And really, I think like Leonard is a historian.
Yeah.
Because and it's not just a historian that's doing research, but it's literally somebody who is preserving history, like actively finding things, fixing them up, and keeping these things alive.
Understanding how they work, understanding the technological innovations that they were. I think that this is pre combustion engines, aren't they?
It's the first it's like the first attempts at combustion engines.
Oh, okay.
So it's like they figured out steam engines, and then how can we get the combustion to happen inside the engine? And that's what he's into. So anyway,
okay, yeah.
This is going to, at some point, this is going to segue into the video. So,
and probably there's lots of customers that we have that have similar. What is the word? Not obsession.
It's an obsession.
But dedication.
Yeah. And I mean, my mom's holding up a sign that says literati.
That's what they call them in Asia, and they value them. These people who preserve history in every way, calligraphy, art.
Yeah.
And he's doing it without anybody patting him on the back.
Right.
Someday you might actually get to see Linda.
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
So always remain
So
a
let's see
mystery.
this disembodied voice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And that's one of my best hits. But anyway, yeah, I want you to hear it.
Long
Yeah.
ducks.
I'll show it. I'll show it to you. Right here.
Oh, right there. Oh, yeah, the drag
Right, Coach.
Yeah.
Now, I invented that many years ago. And years after I did that, you guys come along and come up with some store-bought ones, But, I mean, I use these things for everything. I use them constantly. Of course, I've admired yours. I like the ones you got. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, just a second, I want to get my makeup on.
That's right.
Well, I heard it do
Yeah.
it, but anyway,
What is that thing for?
say it again.
What does it do? What is it for?
Well, these are all first generation gas engines.
Okay.
In other words, you know what a first generation cell phone is.
Yeah.
Okay. Bag phones. That was the first generation.
Yeah,
phone.
my mom had one of those.
Okay.
We never used it
And
because
so
it was
now,
too
of
expensive
course, we've all got
to make a phone call.
smartphones that are essentially a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, lots of people, when they come in here, they go, oh, steam engines. Well, they're not steam engines, but when you look at them, you think, well, it kind of reminds you of a steam engine. And why? Because the fellas that were first inventing this, they were making a transition from steam power to internal combustion. Steam is actually external combustion. All of your combustion is over at a boiler, and it's piped over to the actual engine.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So they were trying to come up with this idea that if we could just get combustion inside that cylinder, and they tried gunpowder, they tried all kinds of stuff. But if they just get it in there, thus internal combustion. And so there were fellows in Europe named Deutsch, named Benz. They were using oil, but they were trying to come up with a method of injecting this oil and and there was a guy over in Europe named Diesel. And this was in the 1860s that they were working with these concepts. And they began, late 1860s, they had a few internal combustion engines that were running off of, some off oil, some off what they called city gas, which was coal gas. It was gas that came off of coal. I don't remember how they derived it, but today the closest thing we have to that same gas is actually hydrogen. You'd think, well, it must be like natural gas, methane, propane. Actually, the closest thing is really hydrogen.
Huh.
So anyway, they began doing that, and by the 1880s, they were successful. They had engines in settings, powering equipment, powering a machine shop, powering a blacksmith shop, powering a bunch of sewing machines. And then in the 1890s, boy, did it really take off. Lots. Oh, there was a guy named Olds. His name was Ransom Eli Olds. And in that era, he was working on engines, and so thus there's a lot of collectible Olds engines. And they're sought after.
Yeah.
They're pricey. They were made around the turn of the century. Now some of these engines, this engine is a 1915. That one back there is 1898-ish, maybe.
And so is this primarily used to run a shop? Is that what it was? Is that
This was an oil-filled engine. Its original name was the Acme Sucker Rod Engine Company. And a guy named Samuel Jones invented this whole engine. He kept the company 6-7 years, and then he sold it. They were unsuccessful. He came back and bought it back. He got good eyes. Oh, so read that.
Manufactured by Ryder Manufacturing Company, Burbank, California. Property of the Army Air Forces.
Army Air Forces?
What do you got there, Leonard?
It's a drone engine, but it was manufactured for the Army Air Corps.
No kidding.
So that means this is early World War II, before the Air Force was even one of the services, okay? Propeller, I think, is about 32 or 36. But that's the exhaust. It's a little two-stroke. That's all it is, that big port. But it's all there. The carburetor is there. The points and distributor, there's no cap on it. But the distributor is still there. And I'll find a cap that'll work.
And literally looks no different than the one on the Love.
Yeah.
Looks exactly the same.
So see, even if I have to put a cap that's a 4-cylinder cap, I'll just use 2 of the little
Oh yeah.
and spark plug on each side. But listen to how throaty it is. I mean, the plugs aren't even in it, and it's throaty. It's got real
Good compression.
I mean, you turn it, man. You'll see what I mean.
Oh.
With no plugs in it.
Yeah, that's
But-
a really good.
But that little carburetor,
Did you redo the rings on it, or is that the
No,
original
I-
rings on it?
all I did was build this stand and mount it. And then I kind of got distracted with other projects. But I need to take the carburetor off and put it in that, you know, that solution you buy a gallon can of that carburetor cleaner. I'll drop it in there and clean it. And then the points, I need to dismantle them.
Oh yeah.
So
This is an Epstein's. We had a deal on
let me tell you,
Pacom screwdrivers.
that is the best screwdriver that's ever been made. And in this shop,
The best
No.
screwdriver that's ever been made? That
and
seems like
nobody touches them.
They're really nice. It was
Only Leonard.
it's a great deal.
Now, Jory, you remember when I was trying to hunt down those?
Oh yeah, the barbecue.
Yeah.
Didn't get.
Oh, look at the handles on those.
Yeah, did you get these? End up getting these from us? Didn't Ken find some?
I got one set when I was about 20,
Yeah.
and they were, man, I used to remember what they cost. It was, all 3 screwdrivers was under $10. Okay, and there were 3 sizes. There was a little short one a little longer, and
I think these were Irwin
yeah, they were
originally. This was an old wood-handled screwdriver Leonard bought from us a long time ago. He made it into a set of barbecue tools.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Come in when you can. Okay, I'll be there in a minute. But anyway, hey, we could start an engine. You guys would like to hear an engine?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear an engine.
Hey, let's start one up.
Yeah.
Matt?
Yeah.
You feel posse?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Why we brought him.
Okay, so do we need, that action deal?
No, we're just going.
So you get on that side, Matt. And we're gonna pull it a couple revolutions before she'll fire and start.
Okay.
And then Jory, I need you.
Oh, I have to do something?
This right here, that lever, see how it falls down?
Yeah.
I just need you to hold it straight out. Would you do that?
That's a job I can handle.
Matt,
Yes.
I'm gonna give it some juice. Let's go. One more. You're doing good. One more. Stop, you can stop. Huh. Just a second. It embarrassed me. No, actually, what it is, this particular engine is kind of camera shy. So when it's on the camera, it always does.
I had a motorcycle like that once.
Did you? Yeah. Okay, now we're going to do it again. Let's do it. One more. Oh, come on.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, that is cool, Leonard.
That's the timing gear. That's how you time the engine.
Okay. Neat.
Free floating. Free.
It's a timing gear.
Oh no kidding.
But it really is a timing gear. Ah. I can't do it. I can't. Let's see what happens. This is a real, they made a lot of this was the Hercules engine company.
Where are you going, sir?
Just this thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, my shadow's in the way.
By the way, I wanted to introduce George.
Oh, yeah,
George
yeah.
Russell. This is Jory Sacken. Matt.
This
I
is
don't
George.
remember your last name, I
Tommy.
guess.
It's all right.
George
George,
Russell.
I introduced you.
And it's James.
Yep, nice to meet you, George.
Nice meeting you too. How did Leonard trick you into helping him?
Very slyly.
Yeah.
Very slyly. He promised me a certain amount of money, and
That's right.
then when I got here, he said, "Well, no, it wasn't quite like that, but pretty close."
George, we're on camera.
Oh, okay.
I got another one under this. But this engine here, I hope you can see it. It's not ready to start. The governor, I'm working on the governor, but it is ready to start. It's all ready to run. There's another one this is an 8-horse Whitty, W-I-T-T-E, Whitty. The 6-horse Whitty is back here under this tarp somehow.
Yeah.
Where's it made?
Kansas City, Missouri.
That has the address, but I'll tell you the address. When I come across the inner city viaduct and I get off at Broadway, if I keep going, I will drive right across where the factory's at. It's right there before you get to Maine, but it was right there where I-70 goes through.
No kidding.
Kind of where English Brothers is, it's in front of that. It would be south of that.
Okay.
But that's the old foundry and original Whitty foundry and manufacturing buildings. Just 6 blocks from your shop.
Wow.
You know, right now, it just moves in. Now, we're coming up on compression. This center piston is going to come up on compression, and right about now, pow, it fires. It starts back. This one is coming back. So what is happening here? That's what's interesting. So I'll try to explain it. Compression, ignition cylinder, and all this is, we call it a charging cylinder, but it sucks a load of fuel into it, and then when the piston comes back up and this one's going back, it comes up and pushes that fuel through a valve on the bottom into here. So there's no back pressure like you would have in a chainsaw,
Yeah.
but this simply pushes the charge into the cylinder. That's all it does. So anyway,
Wow.
these engines would power in a shop overhead line shafts.
Oh,
The
like a
shop
belt
would have
system?
line shafts going everywhere and bearings hanging down hangers holding the bearings.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say bearings, of course, we're not talking about ball bearings. We're talking about Babbitt or even wood bearings.
Mhm.
Yeah, wood. But this is a 1889 Sebastian metal lathe. And I brought it in. That's all the line shaft I have. Counter shaft. Jack. Let's see, I wish I had a pointer. But I'm running it off of an old Century motor to a jack shaft, to the line shaft up there, and then back down to the lathe. Machine you could compare it to modern day lathe. But it really is. But anyway.
That is so.
Yeah, so I've got some real good ones that.
How did you? Because you built houses. You're a carpenter. That's how you made your living for many years. How do you get into engines? Like what was it?
Well, you go to an old farm show threshing bee, and you see these for the first time running, and you go, what on earth? And you kind of develop a little bit of love for one. You think, well, I wouldn't mind having one of those. And they're hard to find. And then I guess it was in the 80s. I had been going to those farm shows. I loved going to them and seeing these engines. And somewhere in the middle 80s, I got one and brought it home. Now there's more engines in the basement. There's more engines. They're everywhere. And I can't really reveal all that because I'm not sure my wife knows about it. The art here, you have to know how to sneak things home and not get caught. And some of these engines are pretty big, and so it's
Good thing I'm still filming.
it's a skill you have to really master. Yeah. But at first it was just a hobby. I just loved being out here in the shop working. Jory, years ago, I built cabinets here. I spent a few years just doing kitchens and fixtures, commercial fixtures. But eventually the woodworking stuff got moved out in place of iron. But it was a hobby. If I could come home 1 or 2 nights and come out here and work a couple hours, I loved it. I just love restoring stuff. I always have. And then hobbies sometimes become passions, and then addictions, and then I got this one buddy that comes over and says, you know, Leonard, I think there's probably a group that you can join and help cure you of this, you know. He's made fun of me for years, and he's got a pretty good eye because he'll stop by and he'll go, well, now I haven't seen this before. And I'm talking about saying.
Okay.
But he swears he's going to get me into Engines Anonymous or something. But anyway, let's go see what we got here.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Let's cook it.
If I need anything else, we will.